Almost dying is the best way to learn how not to die. Or something.
I knew this was gonna work.
This wasn't the plan.
No, it just wasn't the one we started with.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better.
Yeah, I don't really know what PlayStation thought they were cooking when it came to Concord, but it definitely wasn't anything good. But regardless, welcome back, true believers and all you PlayStation fans out there, to another very interesting video discussing the overall future of not only Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine, but rather we are going to be diving into the entirety of PlayStation as a whole. And holy crap, do we have a lot to talk about, which does involve both good and bad news, some of which does relate to the current plans that PlayStation seemingly has in store, as well as what we can potentially expect from them down the line. So if you're excited to completely dive into all this massive PlayStation news with me, then definitely be sure to whip that like button and subscribe to the channel for even more gaming industry videos like this in the future. So as you saw from the intro of this video, is that you have more than likely seen the news pertaining to the latest first-party AAA gaming release from PlayStation of Concord, and how that game is not only being deemed as PlayStation's greatest critical and commercial failure of all time, but that the game itself is actually being shut down completely only less than 2 weeks after its full launch, which, to put it simply, is nothing short of absolutely embarrassing. Now, in my opinion, there are a multitude of reasons as to why Concord failed, and while I'm not going to fully dive into all of them within this video, the biggest reason I can say as to why it flopped so badly is simply because of how it was a game out of time, where rather than having PlayStation go on to fully encourage their developers to try and set trends within the gaming industry, they're instead trying to simply chase the latest trends in the hopes that they will make a quick buck. And as they found out the hard way, is that nothing that Concord did managed to reinvent the wheel that they were trying to so desperately recreate, which has now led to a lot of diehard PlayStation fans wondering, myself included, as to what exactly Sony's next steps are going to be. Well, to put things as bluntly as possible, is that PlayStation has seemingly lost their damn minds. Whereas this news was thoroughly written by thegamer.com, it was reported that as Concord dies, Sony says it doesn't have enough original IP.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Just like pretty much every platform holder, PlayStation is sat on a huge pile of franchises that have been left dormant for years, even decades in some instances. Every one of you reading this article probably has a beloved series you wish would make a comeback, but Sony has looked at its vault full of titles and has come to the conclusion that it simply doesn't have enough original IP. These rather bizarre comments came from the new Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki in a recent interview with the Financial Times, in which he claims the company is currently lacking in original IP that it fostered from the beginning. And to quote Totoki himself, he does state, whether it's for games, films, or anime, we don't have that much IP that we fostered from the beginning. We're lacking the early phase of IP, and that's an issue for us.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Totoki goes on to explain that he thinks the company has done well getting the existing and popular IP to new audiences, possibly referring to PlayStation's big push into the PC market, but that Sony and PlayStation won't grow if it doesn't start creating original IP from scratch. Totoki's comments come at a rather bizarre time, right after PlayStation announced that Concord, one of its new IPs that it clearly had high hopes for, is being shut down less than 2 weeks after launch. We're also just days away from the release of Astrobot, a game that is considered a celebration of PlayStation's rich history and the games and characters that have played a large role in the platform's rise. Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, Parappa the Rapper, Bloodborne, Gravity Rush, and countless other franchises will all no doubt make cameo appearances. But they're all games that many feel PlayStation has abandoned for no good reason. It can feel more like a graveyard of ideas at times, and there's nothing really stopping PlayStation from reviving these franchises if it feels it doesn't have enough original IP in rotation. Instead, PlayStation seems to be all aboard the live service train, with plans to release 12 more in the the near future. We already have titles like Fair Games and Marathon on the way, though who knows how those will perform given the spectacular failure of Concord. Hopefully, Astrobot launches and is a smash hit, and the company can make somewhat of a course correction before it embarrasses itself even further.
These days it's not about collecting cans of cream corn and childish platforming. Now it's all DLC and microtransactions and you. Do you want a chicken nugget? It's my IP to sit on and do nothing with.
So yeah, that is a whole lot to fully break down, but it essentially boils down to the simple fact that the higher-ups over at PlayStation seemingly have no idea what they're doing. I sadly think that some of these current ramifications that PlayStation is dealing with does directly relate to the previous leadership that was held by Jim Ryan, who has since fully left the company. But it was mainly with the decision of Jim Ryan that he wanted to pursue more live service games coming from PlayStation first-party studios. And granted, while I do understand Totoki's perspective from a certain extent, considering that it's always good to try and breathe new life within the PlayStation banner of games, with fully brand new IP that gamers will hopefully attach themselves to, simply trying to force the extremely exhausted and incredibly unoriginal live service model onto each of these brand new IPs is the quickest way for your game to die in the fastest way possible, just like what we saw with Concord. So this isn't to say that you shouldn't stop making any brand new IP, because I for one would love to see more franchises within the PlayStation Studios banner. But at the same time, it is rather absurd that no one within the main higher-ups of PlayStation are deciding to look back at their previous IPs that are already incredibly beloved by millions, if not hundreds of millions of PlayStation fans. Think of all the other phenomenal franchises that PlayStation already has in their pockets, like that of Infamous, Resistance, Killzone, Motorstorm, SOCOM, Medieval, and so many more unforgettable experiences. And having PlayStation go out of their way to try and make a game like Concord be as unoriginal and uninspiring as possible simply creates a situation where nobody wins. And it does make me sad in knowing that PlayStation could easily decide to revive a multitude of all these beloved games, but are simply deciding not to. Which for me as a diehard PlayStation fan, and I'm sure all of you, is an extremely frustrating situation to be in. But hopefully, as I've already stated on Twitter, is that the only silver lining that I can see about this entire scenario is that hopefully PlayStation will take a massive step back and rethink their overall production strategy for all their games going forward. Because not only did they lose a massive amount of money for a game like Concord, but they also lost some of the respect for their die-hard fans. And hopefully, we might see them return to their roots with all these other beloved games that so many people thoroughly adore. Just like what we're already seeing now with Astrobot, which has already been reviewed and nominated by several people online to be their Game of the Year of 2024. And I for one cannot wait to pick up the game for myself. And considering all this negative press that has been surrounding PlayStation as of late, it has led to a lot of people wondering exactly what Sony's next move is going to be to try and rectify their current status. And if you've been keeping up with all my latest videos as well as the recent PlayStation news, that particular turn of events would more than likely relate to a highly speculated and extremely teased PlayStation State of Play, which will more than likely reveal a brand new PlayStation 5 Pro, and hopefully a variety of PS5 Pro enhanced games to go along with the reveal. Well, look no further, because it seems like PlayStation themselves might have let the cat out of the bag early. Whereas was posted by PlayStation directly is that they are now officially celebrating their 30-year anniversary. And not only are they going to be celebrating the occasion in their own unique way, but they also decided to post this particular image displaying the 30-year PlayStation anniversary in style, with including a multitude of different hardware items throughout PlayStation's history, mainly with a variety of different PlayStation consoles, controllers, accessories, and so on. But the biggest takeaway that can be seen within this image does relate to the item that is featured in between the PlayStation symbol and the number 3, where this particular shape not only looks like a PlayStation 5 console, but this may very well be our first official tease of the PlayStation 5 Pro, considering that it was also teased by another gaming industry insider very recently that this is the particular image that he did curate for the PS5 Pro as to what exactly it could potentially look like, mainly with the inclusion of the 3 separate black stripes in comparison to the standard 1 stripe on the new PS5 Slim, which also coincides with another gaming industry insider report is that the PlayStation 5 Pro is apparently set to to be announced sometime as early as next week. And the highly speculated PlayStation State of Play, which we've all been waiting for, which will apparently feature brand new first-party games, is supposedly set to launch sometime either on September 19th or the 20th. But again, nothing about these reports have been officially confirmed as it stands right now. But after this entire Concord fiasco and these extremely weird statements coming from Hiroki Totoki, PlayStation is pretty much ready to break glass in case of emergencies. And this is now as good a time as any. Listen, I am a die-hard PlayStation fan, and nothing would make me happier than to have all these games that Sony are releasing to be the best that they can possibly be. But the sad fact of the matter is that that is not always going to be the case, and the main developers and publishers in charge of these games really need to take a very deep look inward within their own companies to make sure that they're actually creating the games that not only that they're genuinely passionate about, but also create a game that the fans would want to play. And if everything goes well, we might be able to see a turnaround if this state of play ends up happening. But we're just gonna have to keep our fingers crossed until that time comes. But with all that said, everybody, that's the video I have for all you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about all of this absolutely insane PlayStation news? And if you had to pick any of the previous PlayStation franchises that you would like to see return, like that of Infamous, Bloodborne, Gravity Rush, or anything else, which game would you pick and why? And as a bit of a bonus, which I did want to include at the very end of this video, is that I did recently qualify for a brand new Fortnite creator code, which you can use to get a partial discount on any items within the main shop of the game, as well as any other Epic Game title. And considering all the massive Marvel goodies that are currently being included within the game, like that of Doctor Doom, our favorite girl Black Cat, and even different varieties of Deadpool, Wolverine, and even Spider-Man, now would be a good a time as any to jump into all the fun. So if you want to further support the channel or me in any meaningful way other than liking and watching these videos, definitely consider using my creator code of Spidey Squad, which is one word in all caps, to get a partial discount on any of your main item shop purchases. Any support that you would want to show me would be greatly appreciated, and I can't thank you all enough for this wonderful opportunity. But again, let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below, and make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for even more videos like this in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, stay awesome PlayStation fans, and until next time, peace out.